Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the AEW review for the 10th of February 2021. And without a doubt, this is probably the best AEW show, at least in the last 6 months. I would say one of the top 5 best of all time. And I didn't even like everything on the show, but they are phenomenal. Easily the best North American uh, wrestling show of the week. And I mean, I don't even think Raw or SmackDown or NXT could even begin to compare, just from a storyline perspective. And that being said, there were things I hated on the show, such as our first match, Darby Allin defeating Joey Genoa. Janela should not be on national television. Janela should not be with a national company. I know there are people that said he's had decent matches in PWG and Evolve and other places. I have seen a good bit of his Evolve stuff. Never saw anything there. Not a fan of PWG, so didn't watch there. But to me, Darby Allin carried the kid to something passable. It wasn't fine. It wasn't bad. But to me, Darby Allin was the star in this, and the fact that he's in his mid 20s and he's starring and carrying people is a good sign for his career, but certainly not for Janela's. Chain wrestling at the start, and Allin takes control, gets an arm drag and a drop kick. Janela sends him over the ring with or off the apron with a release suplex, and follows up with a dive to the floor. Allin rolls in, and ends up on a near call, or with a near fall. Why do they need the dive? Like, why? Anyway, so, and then Janela tries to maintain control with some weak-looking strikes. Allin fires up, and there's a Irish whip with a near fall, after which kind of overkill there. Allin makes a comeback. Janela cuts him off and uses, I guess you'd say, power moves because of the size difference, but really just heel tactics that someone from 1986 could do. Lands a diving axe handle. Allin pulls him off the top rope and follows up. Janela hits a knee strike. Allin sends him into the corner with a running drop kick. Janela has his arm targeted by Allin. Allin attacks, follows up with a low dive for near fall. Allin applies the Fujiwara armbar, and Janela barely makes it to the ropes. Allin goes for coffin drop. Janela turns it into a German suplex and follows up with a thrust kick for near fall. Genoa takes too long to follow up. Allin sends him to the mat with a modified arm wringer. The exchange of forearms is here in the center of the ring. Allin gets nailed with a lariat. Allin counters, hits a stunner, and a jackknife pin for near fall. Applies some more cradles and hits a pile driver for near fall. Janela sets him on the top rope and slaps him. Allin turns it into a top rope code red for near fall, and then arm drag STO sets Allin up perfectly, lands the coffin drop to retain the title. Again, not a bad match. It was fine. I'm not sure that it belongs on national television. I know Janela doesn't, but there's nothing to write home about with this. To me, it's a waste of Darby Allin to put him in there with this kid. But anyway, John Moxley addresses Kenta and the attack last week. He realizes the time for talk is over, and on February 26th, they're going to stand toe-to-toe in a war of attrition. Sanction match for the IWGP US Championship on that date, but I guess that would be in Japan, right? Anyway, Moxley does not mention New Japan or Strong by name, but does mention the IWGP US title. Promo was fine. I like the fact that AEW is working with every other promotion that's not WWE. Hopefully that means they will eventually rock WWE into either becoming a better product or finally get people to start pulling their funding as far as sponsors from WWE. That's hope for 5 to 10 years from now. Anyway, Guevara enters Inner Circle locker room, sends everyone out except MJF. He says he watched last week and knows exactly what MJF is doing. He's trying to take over the Inner Circle. MJF thinks this is jealousy. MJF is the new favorite, he says. And MJF thinks that Guevara hates Jericho, wants to take over the Inner Circle himself. Guevara gets defensive. MJF says that that's exactly what he wants, is for him to admit he hates Jericho, and he says he's been recording on his phone. Guevara takes the phone and throws it against the wall, lays out MJF. This was fine. It's an interesting deal, and it plays into later, which is cool. Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson defeat Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi. I like the ending of the match. I don't like who the opponents are for Cody and Johnson. Cody takes control over Avalon right away. Johnson tags in. Bononi makes a blind tag, lays out Johnson. Avalon comes back in, does his thing, and then they go back and forth with tags for a while. Jawbreaker allows Johnson to get a tag to Cody. Cody hits some clotheslines on Bononi. Bononi comes back with a fallaway slam and head to commercial break. Cody catches Avalon with a springboard. After the break, uses a backbreaker to escape to Johnson for the hot tag. Johnson comes in, hits a bunch of strikes, neck breaker, sends Bononi to the floor. He hits a tremendous dive over the top. The first dive I've actually seen that I liked, because it looked like Lee Johnson was actually throwing caution to the wind. It didn't look like a guy that was just diving for the sake of diving. It's like, this is my opportunity. I'm willing to risk everything. These type of dives I don't mind because they serve a purpose. Avalon avoids the springboard and gets a neck breaker for the 2. Cody tries to get rid of Bononi, but that doesn't work out for him and drops Johnson down hard. Avalon goes up for the Matty knees, but Johnson avoids that and rolls Avalon up for his first victory. Tony Schiavone goes in. Johnson and the whole Nightmare family are looking on. Johnson said he wishes he had a bunch of words. He doesn't. He was 0-29. But he's seen that hard work pays off. The Rhodes family is his family, and they did this for him. Cool way to make a 1-2-3 kid type victory. Anyway, Bucks are interviewed by Dasha. So glad that it's Dasha and not Alex Marvez. He's on later, which tells me that they're willing to waste money on useless people. Anyway, so Young Bucks are whining like whiny baby faces about how they were eliminated last week. Good Brothers show up and they're excited about ratings. Bucks are angry about them showing up and messing things up. Bucks point out that the real anger is with the Inner Circle, who eliminated them. Matt suggested Bucks defend their championships against Santana and Ortiz next week. There was a time when that would be good, but I think it's too late. I don't think anyone cares about Santana and Ortiz at this point. Good Brothers wanted Too Sweet. Bucks were embarrassed about it because Sting's with the company now, and I guess it harkens back to Sting being one of the originators or around at the original time of the Too Sweet, so actually the Bucks are at least self-aware to know that they stole gimmicks. Anyway, Hangman Page interviewed by Dasha. Thankfully, Dasha again. I'd like to see more of her because she's talented. about the potential tag team with Matt Hardy. Hardy shows up and says they're special together. Invites him to all you can drink bar. Paige accepts this. He runs into the Dark Order, which makes that awkward and, well, anyway. Pac with Rey Fenix defeats Ryan Nemeth. Sorry for Nemeth. To me, I mean, I like Pac, don't get me wrong. I think he's a talented guy. I don't think AEW has used him properly. And there are so many other people that could have fallen to him. Rey Fenix is also here, not a guy that I'm a particular fan of either. Pac sends Nemeth into to the mat with a knee strike, follows up with a huge snap suplex, hits a corner lariat, then a missile drop kick. Pac picks his spots. Nemeth tries to fight back, but doesn't get very far. Pac hits more kicks, hits a corner DDT, and Pac beats Nemeth down with stomps, lands the Black Arrow before transitioning into his Brutalizer submission finish, and then we go to a video of the foolish Kip Sabian Penelope Ford wedding that was a waste of time last week. Jericho and the Inner Circle interviewed ahead of their match, but MJF, Guevara, and Santana Ortiz aren't there. MJF arrives with his ribs all taped up, complaining about Guevara attacking him. Guevara is the only Inner Circle member out, not with Jericho and MJF. Gonna grab my phone. Be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, but obviously gonna have continued good stuff here. Anyway, then we go to a good bit of stuff here. Guevara was the only Inner Circle guy out. Acclaim did their rapping deal. MJF cuts a promo, on the Acclaimed. Jericho and MJF with the Inner Circle defeat the Acclaimed, Caster, and Bowens. I like Caster, not that big a fan of Bowens, but I guess they need a tag team partner for him. MJF goes to the floor, selling his ribs from being attacked earlier, tags in. Jericho gets met with a shoulder block from Caster, who tags in Bowens and Zaguri. MJF tags in, but immediately met with a suplex for near fall. Acclaimed goes after the ribs of MJF. MJF forces Caster into the corner. Jericho makes the tag, beats Caster down. Several frequent tags, Caster and MJF. Had an abdominal stretch, battle, and a hip toss brings Caster enough time to reach Bowens. Bowens goes nuts on both opponents, and Ortiz tries to interfere, but it doesn't go the way he plans. Jericho goes for the lion salt. Caster nails him with a near fall, and Acclaim sets up the Acclaim to Fame. Jake Hager knocks Caster off the top rope, and Jericho lands the Judas Effect for the win. Nothing wrong with that. Post-match, Sammy Guevara music plays. He comes out to the ring, asks Jericho. Jericho asks him what his problem is. Guevara says he quits the Inner Circle. Surprised that it wasn't a heel turn where they jumped him out. But, I mean, this was coming, and it was well done. Not actually the way I expected it to go. Should be an interesting follow-up. I enjoyed it. Alex Marvez, catches up with Guevara, but leaving the Inner Circle. Guevara said that he needs time to focus and get away from this place. I assume that means he's taking a bit of a break. Paige and Hardy getting along at the bar. Hardy makes a quick toast. They drink a bunch. He pulls out a contract. Paige is basically mocking drunk, but says that he, in fact, will sign with Hardy. While drunk, Hardy basically admits to the cameraman that he has proof on tape that Paige signs it, even though he'll probably be upset later. I found this funny but disturbing. The idea that the inference is that Hardy's sleazy enough that he would sign someone who's intoxicated. Tony Schiavone brings out Sting, asks what's on his mind. head of the street fight. Taz, Powerhouse, Hobbs interfere. And they pan to the back where Alan is in a body bag and is tied to the back of a vehicle, which is driven away. Again, Alex Marvez, who basically has the charisma, well, of maybe an unflavored crouton. Uh, um, managed to catch up with Kenny Omega. Omega on the golf course. I have to admit, Omega has go-away heat with me. I don't see what people see in the guy. At best, he's a Shawn Michaels ripoff. At worst, he's one of the most overrated talents of all time. Anyway, although he is playing a good heel here because I legitimately don't like him, Kenny Omega is on the golf course. Omega is bothered by the fact Marvez is there. Omega hits the ball onto the green. Marvez asks if Omega should be, preparing for his match. He said he's already mastered professional wrestling and golfing allows him to prepare spiritually. As if Kenny Omega has any sort of spirit whatever. He's a black hole of charisma and has very little soul. Anyway, he said he wasn't going to lose today or tonight and looked at the green. Callis had put the ball in the cup for him. Before the match played, Thunder Rosa says that she has 3 goals. That's to win the tournament, to face the AEW Women's Champion, which right now is Shida, win back the NWA Women's Championship from Serena Deeb, and get rid of Britt Baker. Eliminator Tournament Round 1, Thunder Rosa defeats Leia Hirsch. I like Thunder Rosa. I like Leia Hirsch. This was fun. Decent technical wrestling to start. Neither really gets a decided advantage. Rosa hits a slam and a senton. Hirsch comes back with a Rana and a tope. Hirsch comes back and locks in a cross arm breaker. Rosa escapes and hits the hanging neck breaker, and Rosa maintains control throughout the commercial break. Rosa hits some knees and a dropkick for a near fall. Hirsch comes back with a series of German suplexes. Rosa manages to block the third. Hirsch lands a diving crossbody for a near fall. Hirsch goes to the top, but Rosa gets her knees up and follows up with a bicycle knee. Misses a step-up moonsault. Rosa goes for Fire Thunder Driver, but Hirsch transitions into the cross arm breaker. Rosa powers out and hits the Fire Thunder Driver for the win to advance to the next round. Japanese side of the women's elimination tournament is going to air on Monday on YouTube at 7 o'clock. Hey, there'll actually be decent wrestling on a Monday night. What about that? Anyway, Tony Schiavone talks to Jungle Boy about FTR kidnapping Marco's stunt. This was an incredibly dry promo. I think Jungle Boy is capable of so much more, but, he's talking about Marco's stunt. Not even he cares. Schiavone said that stunt is okay, but doesn't really elaborate. I assume that means stunt's going to turn heel at some point because he was kidnapped, but who knows. Anyway, Jungle Boy addresses Dax Harwood, said that he's never been in a fight like that. He came out a different man. Jungle Boy didn't want FBR suspended, but he says when he sees Harwood again, he's going to dominate him. Says it different, but that's the idea. FTR versus Matt and Mike Sydal. These are matches for next week's Dynamite. So the Sydal brothers against FTR, Hangman Page and Matt Hardy and Private Party against the Hybrid 2 and Chaos Project. Sting calling out Team Taz, Riho and Serena Deeb, Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz. Interesting run here. Kenta comes out with the New Japan music that he has. He is holding the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship briefcase. Moxley comes out with the belt itself. Don Callis joins on commentary. Why can't we have Don Callis on commentary every week instead of that goof Excalibur? Anyway, Match is a completely crisp, um, I guess you'd say, you know, falls count anywhere brawl. It was well done. I don't like these matches; they're overdone. But this was good. Obviously, Omega and Kenta against Moxley and Lance Archer. They rehabbed Archer in one night. Of course, Jake Roberts is out there with Archer. Uh, Match is phenomenal. And so Kenta nails Moxley with the briefcase. Archer attacks Omega. Kenta nails Archer with the briefcase. Archer does not sell this. Omega chop blocks him from behind. Omega hits the Kudo Crusher on Archer. Kenta takes turns beating down Moxley, but they are momentarily not on the same page. Trade strikes with Moxley. Archer pounces Omega in the ring. Moxley hits some clotheslines. Archer goes for powerbomb. Omega hits a Rana out of it, and they go to the floor. Moxley and Kenta exchange stiff forearms. Moxley goes for paradigm shift. Omega interferes. Trash can shot. They go for the you can't escape. And then there's a trash can assisted moonsault. Kenta hits a corner drop kick through a trash can for a near fall. Archer introduces a ladder, and he goes straight up against both guys, Omega and Kenta. Moxley lands a tope on Kenta. Archer suplexes Omega headfirst into the ladder, which looked like it hurt like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, commercial break. There's a bunch of brawling, weapon shots, and all that during the break. Kenta and Moxley fight over a chair. Omega and Archer brawl at ringside. Back from the break, Kenta attacks Peter Avalon with a GTS. I don't know what he's still doing out there, especially since he wrestled earlier. Archer attacks Kenta. Omega goes for a springboard. Archer choke slams him through Avalon's bed set up at ringside. Moxley enters the fray and sends Kenta into the barricade. Kenta sets up a chair, lands a kick for near fall. Moxley brings Kenta back into the stands. They brawl around. Camera cuts to a kitchen. Young Bucks and Butcher and the Blades gear. Moxley and Kenta takes turns. They basically toss each other all the way around. They fight on top of the table. Kenta hits a DDT and locks on the game over. Archer breaks up the submission with the use of some potatoes. The food, not the wrestling term. Omega beat him down with a trash can. Announcers recapped the action, and Omega and Moxley are brawling outside, or back toward the ring, rather. Moxley attacks with a chair and a kendo stick. Moxley goes for a diving shot, but Omega hits a V-trigger, and Kenta and Archer appear, and Omega hit another V-trigger on the floor, setting Moxley up on the table. Archer sends the announcers away and tries to powerbomb Kenta through the table. Kenta fights out and jumps on the stage, diving foot stomp through Moxley. That was brutal looking. Omega basically tries to defend himself against Archer with a kendo stick. Archer comes up and snaps it over his knee. Archer hits a choke slam and does the rope walk moonsault for near fall. Archer sets up the blackout. Good Brothers run out. Kenta attack, and the Good Brothers take advantage of the distraction. Kenta hits a couple of spinning back fists. Archer no-sells them. Anderson hits the gun stun on Archer. Jake Roberts comes out and hits a short arm clothesline on Anderson. Gets a decent pop for that. Gallows takes down Roberts with a right hand, and there's actual heat in the building. Omega sets up V-trigger. Moxley cuts him out with a barbed wire. Bat running wild everywhere. Kenta hits the GTS. on Moxley, and Archer goes for the double choke slam. Omega and Kenta double low blow him. Good Brothers hit the Magic Killer, and Omega hit the V-Trigger and the assisted One-Wing Angel on Archer to end it. It took 4 guys to beat Archer. The announcers drove that home. Archer and Omega could be a pay-per-view level match. That way you don't have to burn out something like Moxley, and it's amazing. Ultimately, it's a really good show. Probably, like I said, best AEW in months, but it's phenomenal, and they put WWE for the last 10 years to shame with one show. It's just really, really phenomenal. Anyway, we'll be back with the NXT review right after this. Take care.